Hi guys and gals, Shane Stevenson, Director of Museum Collections and Curator here at the Buffalo Naval Park. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5-inch practice loader. Right, we've talked about it in other videos, certainly if you've watched our Museum Ship Mafias, especially the most recent one for the HS Velos. We did talk about it later in that live session. And I've been always wanting to find a photograph of the 5-inch practice loader on USS The Sullivans. I had not had many luck for a few years, but we recently took a photo album as a loan, not as a donation, but the family allowed me to look at it, take scans of certain photographs, and lo and behold, if you could believe it, thank you Tom Peter, who was from Buffalo, who served aboard the Sullivans, and thank you to the Peter family who donated it, because I have found a photo of the 5-inch practice loader. So let's go take a look. So this will be scanned and added to our archives. So here it is. What you see here is that either Tom or someone is taking a photograph from the 01 level, looking down, and there's the practice loader. Alright, so he may have been standing right about here, and of course I was going to go up there and mimic the photograph, but alas, we have all of our canvas up. So you would see nothing but white canvas and a shamrock right in the middle here, so I can't mimic that photograph. But you can see it's facing forward. Alright, they more than likely would have rotated it. You'll also see here we still had 1958, 1959, the Mark 15 quintuple tubes, and that would have been the one with the blast shield. Alright, and that would have been right up here as well. And there is the famous catwalk that all Fletchers had. Alright, and they must have been in port of call because there's some kids, you know, having some fun and some adults having some fun here. So this must have been a port of call where they invited some of the citizens of that particular country on board. And now, as you can see, if you've been here before, our overhead has been filled in. It is now solid. Alright, so the catwalk would have been just along here. Alright, and this would have all been open. So talking to the USS Kidd and Cassin Young, the original 5-inch practice loader
folks just coming on board?
would have certainly been right about here.
Have to hustle. All right.
So the 5-inch practice loader for USS Kidd and probably all original Fletcher configurations from 42, 43 would have been right here. Currently, the USS Cassin Young's is in the same spot where ours are, or where ours was. Alright, also interesting, we do have the booklet of general plans from the USS Ingersoll, which was DD 652. So I'm going to show that, because they had it in an interesting spot. This is the 01 level. Here's the two 3-inch 50s waist. There's the aft stack, and there is their 5-inch practice loader on the 01 level aft of the aft stack. And there's those Mark 32s, triple torpedoes like we have, right there and there in those same spots. So at some point the Ingersoll moved their practice loader the 01 level. But for the Cassin Young, the Kidd, and the Sullivans, it was right here. If you saw that photograph, oops, I'll walk back. If you saw the photograph there and that you have that door open, that is right there. That's our Mark 63 Gunfire support control system. Alright, when the ship comes back from dry dock, this is one of those areas that I'm going to be working on, restoring it, stabilizing it, refurbishing it. Might not be able to bring all of the associated equipment back, but to clean it up a little bit, and to make it and to tell the story for what the Mark 63 gunfire control system did. Now this was controlled, if you've watched that prior video of me climbing up the tower, and there's a gun tub right there, and then there's a associated gun tub on port. That was the Mark 63 gun tower, gun director tower, which fed information here, and also along with the Mark 56, right, on the aft stack, which again you can't see right now because of the canvas. Alright, so those systems controlled the 3-inch 50s. Alright, we had the two 3-inch 50s here on the waist. We now have the 40mm Bofors, but we had a 3-inch 50 there, 3-inch 50 there, and then the one we still do have on the O2 level on the aft superstructure. So looking to restore that space and stabilize that space and the equipment in there. So we know that for Fletcher classes the frames were about 21 inches apart, and we do have a 1956 general information booklet about the Sullivans, and it said that the 5-inch practice loader was starboard between frames 122 and 130. So what we have stamped is we have frame 115. Right there it is right there. So I put a tape measure, 21 inches for a frame, times 7, 115 to 122 is 7. And so if my math is right, which it probably is not, Rick can correct me if he needs to, that will be right 147 inches away. So we're looking at about frame 122 right about here, which then of course lines up perfectly well with that photograph. So for the practice loader itself, it was really for the projectile man and the powder case man, and they would have used target or proof shot projectiles. More than likely they would have been wood. They also would have been about 55 pounds and filled with inert material. They probably would have faced it starboard, and it would just fire out the barrel, and then they would retrieve it. The guys, of course, because the sight lines for elevation and stuff obviously would not match up with an actual mount, so they weren't lining up to targets, things like that, from the gun control, the gun director computers, right? Because the sight lines would not have matched up like they would have in a mount. But of course, loading the projectile and the case, the powder, the gunpowder, would have been the same. So guys would have had to have practiced for about 10 hours before they went into a mount, either for live fire training. So they had to really have it down and with some muscle memory, so they're not even thinking about it anymore. So I think that's about it for now. I know that on September 30th, when we do another round of the 80th anniversaries and we focus on the Sullivans, it's going to be talking about the changes of during the atomic age. Alright, we are probably the most, and as we learned with the HS Velos, we are probably the most out of original configuration, even when the ship came here in 1977. So we'll be talking about some of those changes, and we probably will talk about the practice loader. So USS Kids right along here, USS Cassin Young's here, USS Ingersoll's up there, and I'd love to have a practice loader back. A great story to tell. 10 hours, at least 10 hours worth of practice for those guys. Alright, thank you very much, and please subscribe, ring the bell, do all that fun stuff, and we hope that you enjoyed this video, and we will see you again soon. Thank you.